Last night something happened to you. Not while you were awake. While you were completely unconscious, lying flat, eyes closed. Zero awareness of the world. Your brain built an entire reality. Different place. Different rules. Maybe someone was there who shouldn't have been. Maybe something was chasing you. Maybe you could fly. It all made perfect sense while it was happening. And then it was gone. 3 seconds after waking, gone. Like it was deleted. Now, I want you to imagine being human 300,000 years ago. Same brain, same sleep, same dreams, but no concept of psychology. No understanding of what the brain is. No way to explain what just happened to you in the dark. You were somewhere. Real people were there. A dead family member stood in front of you and spoke, and then you woke up by a dying fire in the middle of the African savannah. What just happened? What do you do with that? Here's what ancient humans did with it, and it changed everything. Here's the first thing most people get wrong about sleep. You think your brain switches off. It doesn't. When you fall asleep, your brain shifts into a completely different mode. The logical parts, the areas that keep you grounded in reality, that make sure things make sense, those quiet down. But the emotional centers stay on. The visual system stays on. The memory system stays on. And during the stage called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, your brain is so active that on a scan it looks almost identical to being fully awake. The difference is one thing. Your body is paralyzed. Not broken, not damaged, deliberately paralyzed. Your brain does this on purpose, to stop you from physically acting out whatever's happening. Because whatever's happening feels completely real. That is a dream. Your brain generating a fully convincing reality while your body lies completely still. Now here's the part that should immediately raise a question. If dreaming requires this specific brain state, REM sleep, and REM sleep exists in virtually every mammal on Earth, then dreaming is not a human invention. Dogs dream, cats dream, rats dream, which means dreaming is ancient, far older than humanity. The first human beings that didn't discover dreaming, they were born into it. In the 1990s, researchers at MIT did something remarkable. They placed tiny electrodes inside the brains of rats, specifically in the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and navigation. They recorded the rats' brain activity as the rats ran through a maze during the day. Then at night, while the rats slept, the researchers played back those recordings. The rats' brains during sleep were producing the exact same patterns that fired while running the maze. Same sequences, same timing, same neural signature. The rats were dreaming about the maze, not metaphorically. Their brains were literally replaying and reprocessing the day's experience while they slept. Now think about what this means for an ancient human. Their entire day was the maze. Where's the food? Where's the water? Which direction did the predator come from? What did the other group members do? Where's it safe to sleep tonight? All of that. Every survival critical piece of information from the day replayed and processed in the dark while they slept. The dream was not random. The dream was the brain doing its most important work. But here's where ancient humans face something we don't. We understand, at least vaguely, that dreams come from the brain, that they're generated internally, that the dead person who appeared was a product of memory and emotion and neural activity during sleep. Ancient humans had none of this. They woke up from a vivid, emotionally intense experience with zero explanation for what had just happened. The dead relative who appeared was not a memory to them. That relative was present, real, speaking, and then gone. The predator that chased them in the dream was not a simulation. It was a warning. The landscape they traveled through was not imagined. It was somewhere they actually went. The human brain cannot tolerate an unexplained experience. This is one of its most fundamental qualities. It will always construct a story, always find a meaning, always build a framework. And the framework ancient humans built around the experience of dreaming became the foundation of something much larger than sleep. Here is something that should genuinely stop you. Researchers studying ancient and indigenous cultures across every continent have noticed the same pattern. Cultures that develop completely independently of each other, separated by oceans, by thousands of miles, by thousands of years, arrived at almost identical conclusions about what dreams are. The dream is a journey, not something that happens inside the skull, a literal journey to another place, another dimension, a realm where the dead still exist, where animals have spiritual presences, where forces beyond the physical world can be encountered and communicated with. Australian Aboriginal culture, one of the oldest continuous cultures on Earth, has the concept of the dreamtime, a dimension of reality that exists alongside the waking world, accessible through sleep, real. Indigenous cultures across the Americas, shamanic traditions across Siberia and Africa, ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt going back 5,000 years, all of them, independently, the same conclusion. The dream is real. You go somewhere. The people you see there are real. This is not coincidence. This is the human brain everywhere on Earth, encountering the same experience and producing the same explanation. And that explanation, the dream is journey, the dream is contact with another world, is almost certainly the oldest theory humans ever developed about themselves. Researchers who have studied the dreams of contemporary hunter-gatherer populations, the Hadza in Tanzania, the San people of the Kalahari, have found consistent patterns. The content of dreams directly reflects daily survival concerns. Hunter-gatherers dream about hunting, about specific animals, about the landscape, about threats, about other members of their group. This is exactly what neuroscience predicts. The brain during REM sleep processes what matters most to the dreamer, what carries the highest emotional weight, what is most critical to survival. For an ancient human whose entire existence depended on finding food, avoiding predators, and maintaining social bonds, the dreams were intense, vivid, and completely focused on staying alive. Dream of the hunt going wrong. Wake up and think about what to do differently. Dream of a predator in a specific location. Wake up and warn the group. Dream of conflict with another group member. Wake up and navigate that conflict carefully. The dream was not entertainment. The dream was like intelligence. Information from a source the ancient human couldn't identify but couldn't ignore. Now here's where everything connects. The oldest cave paintings found so far are roughly 45,000 years old. Lascaux in France, Chauvet in France, Sulawesi in Indonesia, El Castillo in Spain. These are not crude scratches. These are sophisticated, dynamic, emotionally charged images. Animals in motion, bison, horses, mammoths, deer, often overlapping, often painted deep inside caves that required significant effort to reach, crawling through narrow passages in complete darkness to get to locations that sometimes required hours of travel underground. Why? One theory that has gained serious scholarly attention is this. The cave paintings are not pictures of the world outside, they are pictures of visions. Researcher David Lewis Williams spent decades studying both the neuroscience of altered states and the art left by ancient humans. His conclusion was that the specific visual patterns that appear most frequently in prehistoric art, the dots, the grids, the spirals, the animals appearing to emerge from the rock surface itself, these match precisely the visual hallucinations generated by the human nervous system in trance states, in fever, in sensory deprivation, in deep REM sleep, in dreaming. The cave wall was not a canvas. It was a membrane. The shaman entered a trance, experienced visions, and then pressed those visions into the stone, reaching through the surface into the world they had just visited. The animals they painted were the animals they dreamed about. The hunt they depicted was the hunt they had rehearsed in their sleep. The dream and the painting and the ritual and the hunt, all one connected system. All one attempt to understand and influence a world that was mostly terrifying and mostly uncontrollable. But not every ancient dream was meaningful guidance. Some were nightmares. And if you think nightmares are bad now, you're waking up in a safe room, knowing it wasn't real, able to turn on a light. Try waking from a nightmare in the Pleistocene. You're asleep at the edge of a fire. Your brain generates something wrong. Something is chasing you. Something found you. Something happened to those people in your group. And you wake up. Not in a safe room, in the open, in the dark, with actual predators actually present in the actual landscape around you. The nightmare and the threat were separated by almost nothing. Researchers studying sleep in contemporary hunter-gatherer communities have found that anxiety dreams, nightmares, are significantly more common in these populations than in people living in modern industrialized societies. Which makes complete sense. When the dangers in the dream match the dangers in waking life, the boundary between nightmare and reality becomes almost invisible, and ancient humans almost certainly treated the nightmare as warning. Something was coming. The dream was telling them something. Here's the part nobody talks about. Everything dreaming does neurologically, the actual cognitive functions it serves, maps almost perfectly onto what ancient humans needed most: memory consolidation. During REM sleep, the brain transfers critical information from short-term to long-term memory. For ancient humans whose survival depended on remembering which plants were safe, which territories dangerous, which social dynamics needed navigating, this was essential. Emotional processing. REM sleep reduces the emotional charge of difficult experiences. You wake up less distressed about something than you were when you fell asleep. For people exposed daily to death, predation, and constant threat, this function was the difference between functioning and breaking down. Threat simulation. The brain during dreaming runs rehearsals of dangerous scenarios in a safe context. You dream of being chased. Your brain practices the response. You wake up slightly better prepared. Problem solving. The loosening of logical constraints during REM sleep allows connections between ideas that waking-focused thought cannot make. Solutions emerge that linear thinking would never produce. Ancient humans had all of this running every night. They thought it was a journey to another world. In a way, it was. There is a theory held by serious researchers studying cognitive evolution. The behavioral explosion that happened somewhere between 40 and 70,000 years ago. The sudden appearance of art, ritual, symbolic thought, long-distance trade, sophisticated tools, may have been triggered by a single development: the ability to hold a dream image in the mind after waking, to remember it, to describe it, to press it into stone. Because the moment a human could take a private internal experience, a dream, and translate it into a shared symbol that others could see and understand, that was the first time inner experience became outer communication. That was the beginning of culture. That was the beginning of everything that makes us what we are. So the next time you wake up at 3 in the morning still half inside a dream that's already fading, know that every human who ever lived has done exactly this. 300,000 years of the same dark and the same confusion, the same reaching for something that was already gone. The oldest question humans ever asked: where did I just go? We still don't know.